Alright guys, this video is going to be pretty crazy. I want to talk about my experience meeting Bigfoot or Sasquatch. They like big people or big hairy people. They're also big green people too. But they're higher dimensional beings, and I was meditating somewhere in an undisclosed location in Tennessee and on my road trip, and I was meditating underneath my pyramid in this kind of grove area, and I was sitting underneath there, and I started hearing them call out, and I heard three of them around me. One did it on my right, and then in front of me, and then to the left of me, and I was like in this big open field, and they were probably at least like 100 yards away, or maybe less than that. But yeah, I heard them, and I started hearing them telepathically, like, yes, we're here, we're watching you. And I could hear them tromp around in the forest, and like snapping branches and stuff like that. And and they had me do a bunch of stuff on the field, just to like confirm that it was them talking to me and it wasn't like some other energies. And like a really telltale sign of when you're surrounded by higher dimensional beings is that you feel this like really warm sensation of love, and it kind of like fills up your body. And that's what I felt. So I knew it was happening, and they actually showed me a couple craft appeared in the sky that just appeared like right where I was looking, and then just looked like satellites. But they didn't start off from all the way over at the right. They just started right in the middle, just appeared as an orb, just poop, and then they would disappear too. And I saw a couple like flashes and shooting stars. So I just decided to like get the courage up to go and just walk into like the darkness of the forest and just be like, I'm not afraid. Like, and they get a really, really bad rap, because they're these really big people, and they can be, to the person who doesn't observe themselves, they can come across as scary, and that's one thing that you definitely, if you're wanting to meet ETs face to face, you have to learn to be able to hold your emotions in the higher states, like joy and love and peace and bliss, and especially with the big guys, that's even more important because they're really, really big, and they can be frightening, and you just have to hold that love, and no matter what thoughts come in, you just have to be in love with the thought of seeing them or being with them. Anyway, so I walk into the forest while feeling that love from them and also holding it myself. And I was told to like sit down, and then I started hearing them like come closer and closer to me, and like it was pretty crazy because it's gonna sound bad, but if you've ever seen the movie Alien versus Predator, they looked like they were cloaked, like almost like the alien or the predator in AVP, or just in Predator. But yeah, they were cloaked, but I could hear their footsteps, and they were snapping branches and stuff, and it had like a bunch of them came, and they told me like this hasn't happened in like a really, really long time, but they want it to happen with more and more people. And it all starts with clearing yourself out, clearing your chakras, balancing your chakras, clearing your head, and then realizing when those thoughts come in when you're in an enlightened state, like a higher emotional state. If you're in a state of love and you're clear, and then a thought pops in, then it's like a good guy, a higher dimensional being that wants to help you. And yeah, so I sat there and talked with them for a while, and I talked to them telepathically and out loud, and I'm starting to see auras as well, and I can see like they were cloaked, but I could also see their glow too. Like I remember one came really close to me, and I could see this like green glow right there, and they're also tree people. They talk about how they're like the caretakers. What a really funny thought that popped in my head was Hagrid from Harry Potter. Is like they're like that, but they can dematerialize whenever they want to, you know, and cloak themselves. And but trees are also higher dimensional beings as well. And if you can see into those higher dimensions, then the trees will present themselves how they are in those dimensions, you know. And that happened a little bit later, so I'll get into that later. But so I was sitting down with them, and then I was told to like look down the hill behind me, and I saw this like glow coming through the woods. And I was like, oh my god, is that a craft over there? And they're like, yeah, it is. And I go down there, and it turned into a swamp. But because I can see auras, it was like a really vivid, like flashing, and the whole swamp was illuminated, and it looked. It was like a blue and pink and green, I want to say. I also I swam in the lake too, and they or that night they told me to get in it, and I was like, when I got down to the bank, there looked like there was like this 20-foot drop, and I was like, there's no way, I'm not gonna just leap out. And what came into my mind was the scene in Indiana Jones when he's asked to take his leap of faith and just step out into the nothingness, you know. And that's what it felt like. But then when I did that and like put my foot down to like drop down, I realized it was just a reflection, and I was only like 3 feet away. Yeah, so I got in the lake. They told me to get in and swim, and I did that. And then they wanted me to like go dunk my head under. And I'm not from Tennessee, so I was like pretty scared to do it, because I was thinking there was like gonna be snakes or alligators or something, you know. And but I ended up doing it. And then that night I came out, and they're like, we're gonna take care of you, don't worry. And this I interpreted it as like they're gonna give me upgrades. And when I ended up falling asleep, quote unquote, I felt when I went into that lake, it felt like the whole lake was like an energy bubble almost, and like a craft in itself, or there's craft inside of it. And that was probably more likely, because I did see one later, and it wasn't as big as the lake. It was like it was probably like 10 feet across. Yeah, so that night I fell asleep, and I had this vision of this like big toroid, but it turned in, it was like blue and red on the bottom, blue on top and red on the bottom, and I felt like I melted into it almost. And what they kept saying is like, we have gravitrons, and we're gonna take you in one. And that's what it was. That was like the energy field of the gravitron that I was in, or melding with, you know. And that's when you're going to higher dimensions and you're traveling with other beings, you meld into them, right? Like your light bodies and your auras almost become one with one another. And yeah, so that happened. And then I remember laying down somewhere, and it felt like an out-of-body experience mixed with like a dream. But I was laying down, and they put me in sleep paralysis. I remember like sitting down and then laying down, and I just see this massive hairy foot step next to me. Oh, they also like the name Harry too. Like, have you ever seen Harry and the Hendersons? They like the name Harry, and that's like the whole Harry Potter thing comes into play too, in Hagrid. But yeah, I see this big hairy foot, and I'm like, oh my god, and I kind of like react and like get afraid, but I remembered to hold that energy of love. And then I see his face, and he sticks his head around the corner, kind of going like, boo. And it was very interesting. He had a very sharp nose, from what I remember, and a sharper chin with like gray or black skin and like reddish brown hair. But I freaked out again, but then I again remembered to hold that emotion of love, you know. And then he got excited, and then we actually like I went into his body, and then I don't really remember what happened after that. But I woke up the next morning, and yeah, that was all I remember. I'm sure a lot of other stuff happened. About a week later, I had another dream where I was camping with them, and like I said, when you can feel them, you feel this like really warm sense of love. And I knew that they were there, and I had this dream where we were in a ship, we were in a craft with maybe it was pretty small, in relationship to like a mothership or whatever, but it was pretty small, and I remember seeing this, like, it looked like a younger one, like a teenager, Bigfoot, and we were in this craft above him, and what they told me is that he was lost and we found him, and it honestly could have been me on a different dimension. Like, that could have been myself that I was finding, or it could have just I was just assisting them in a mission. What So I'm not really sure, but yeah, we like floated over, and he was like walking down this street, and it looked like it was in a small town or a city or something. But it just like looked like a little bear cub Sasquatch guy. But yeah, trying to think if there's anything else about what happened with them. Oh yeah, yeah. So that morning where I woke up after the first dream I talked about, I woke up, and then they told me to go swim again, and I could see the lake when I was swimming in the lake. It was emanating like these beautiful sparkles of green and pink, and both of those colors are supposed to be the colors of love, you know. And after that, they told me to get on the bank and just stare. And I was like, holy crap, is that a craft hovering right there? And it looked kind of like mossy or overgrown, like like a plant craft. And they're like, yeah, that's a craft right there. Keep staring at it, and then all of a sudden it like melted into the tree behind it, and I wasn't on any drugs or anything. I had slept, and it melted into the tree, and then all of a sudden it turned into this big green giant looking guy, and he was probably like 20 feet tall or so. But yeah, he just, it kind of looked like a stasis being almost, but it started morphing in and out, and like changing form, and kind of like twisting really slowly, and then like raised up his arm, and but yeah, it was wild, and I hope more experiences like that happen soon. I'll let you guys know, but thanks.